Alright, I think a lot of people misunderstood me in my last video. I wasn't saying that Z9 is a bad camera. Of course not. I mean, who would say that? Maybe the angry photographer, but I'm not the angry photographer. So I was not talking about that. I was not talking about whether you should avoid buying a Nikon if you're not using Nikon. Not at all. Not that. In fact, you should. I think it's the best system. Maybe I'm a bit jingoistic, but I think it's one of the best systems anyway, and it's very future proof. So, yeah. So, I would never say that. I was talking about the fact that a lot of people who are sort of tempted by the Z9 may not actually need it, and there is certainly a much better way to spend that money. And it's important to look at the other sides, not just the overwhelming draw of the camera. It's a wonderful camera. Now, I'm going to talk about that today. Why? The 7 reasons why you should absolutely go and get the Z9. Firstly, if you're a professional shooter, if you make money, any amount of money from your cameras, this is the camera to get because first reason, it's got no shutter. What that means is that it's not going to have any wear and tear, and it's got zero moving parts, and in itself it's a whole new level of tech just to get the shutter removed. And the rest of the camera market is going to follow that. So Z9 is groundbreaking in that way. And I think just because of that, it's the life of the camera is going to be almost endless. I mean, if you don't ruin sensor the sensor becomes your shutter. If you don't ruin the sensor, this camera is going to be with you for a very long time to come, maybe easily 7 8 years. So that's one reason to sort of get at the camera. And absolutely, the second big reason is the absolute rugged build. It's a take it anywhere camera, ready for war, and it's ready to take hits. Like I said, it's got no moving parts. So that's the second reason. The third reason is the autofocus. Now we know that Sony and Canon have made a lot of progress in autofocus, especially when it comes to the mirrorless tech autofocus. But what's interesting about the Z9 is that it's almost got automatic autofocus. See, in those other cameras, you still have to sort of select animal or bird eye AF or motorsport AF to to kind of, you need to tell the camera what sort of autofocus you're looking for, what sort of tracking, what sort of subject detection you're looking for. In this, you have to just put it in this automatic mode, and it's going to know whether it's a bird or a car or a bike or a human being, or the or some body part of the torso of the human being. It can do all of that. So no need to select a particular mode, which means that this camera is a lot more flexible. Now, the second reason is, within autofocus, a sub point is that the famous Nikon 3D autofocus tracking is back. So that's amazing. The fourth reason is the Synchro VR. What it does is that now the camera IBIS actually talks to the lens stabilizer, and they then work in combination. They work together, and you get the maximum output. You get the maximum stabilization out of the system. I wish that I'm sure it's an algorithm game, and they can, if they wish, sort of implement the same thing in the Z6 II and the Z6 and all those other cameras, because it's just about talking. It's just about the body and the lens talking to each other. I think that can be done, but right now Synchro VR is only available for the Z9, in the Z9, and it makes the IBIS. It'll take the IBIS to a whole new level. Now, the next reason is the battery life. The battery life with the big battery, it's got the best battery life of all mirrorless cameras, period. So I mean, if you're a professional shooter, you don't want to carry a lot of batteries with you, and if you're out there shooting for a very long time, this is a great benefit to have. It really changes the game for wildlife and sports shooter, and at the same time, it's you have a built-in battery grip, which means that, like the A1, which is what the Z9 should be compared with, not the R3. The A1 doesn't have a battery grip. So if you want to buy it, you'll have to pay extra money to buy that, and then you have to add two separate batteries. Now, in this one large battery, Nikon has packed in so much power, and it's always there with you. The next reason is buffer. That is, it's bottomless, really. And forget that angry photographer guy. He's completely misinformed, and he's negatively motivated to talk shit about Nikon. So I forget that guy, but it's great buffer. And not only that, I was watching Taylor Jackson, and he said how, if when you're shooting and you change from photo to video, uh, it's the change is almost instantaneous unless you really just shot 200 pictures in raw. In that case, it'll take a second sort of to write all of that information onto the card, and you're immediately ready to go and shoot your bit of clip. 8K 60 12-bit RAW and 4K ProRes RAW. These are amazing specs. No overheating. This is the most powerful mirrorless 8K camera so far, and will go up to easily. Right now, it will go up to easily up to 1 hour for 8K 60p. When the 60p comes along, it'll do easily more than 1 hour of shooting in 8K. The last reason, the seventh or the eighth reason for getting the Z9 is really the lenses. If you look at the legacy glass, wonderful bunch of legacy glasses. The 105 1.4 is one of my favorite. I'm planning to buy it, or maybe not. I'll probably get the 85 1.2 when that comes out for the Z mount. But if you look at the quality of the Z lenses, it's just incredible. The quality, sharpness, and contrast in those coming out of those lenses, that's just wonderful. No focus breathing in most of these lenses. Sony resorts to software, smarts to kind of fix that, because most of the lenses have focus breathing. So if you noticed in the recent A7 IV, they actually crop the video so that you don't have focus breathing using some of the Sony lenses. In fact, most of the Sony lenses have focus breathing. Their new 70 to 200 does not, but most of the other systems, whether it's Canon and their third-party lenses, whether it's Fuji or Sony and their third-party lenses, all of those guys will have focus breathing, but not the Z lenses. So wonderful. The 70 to 200, I think, is one of the best, it's most well built 7200 that's out there, out of the three systems. And also the 100 to 400 looks like an amazing lens. Not sure whether I'm going to get it. I'm pondering over it, but that looks like an amazing lens. It's sharp. It's I like the weight. It's about 1400 grams. So all in all, the Z lenses are a big reason to just go and invest in the Z9, because you have access to these glass. That's wonderful. So that's about it, guys. It is a short sort of impromptu video. I thought, since I've spoken about why you probably should not buy the Z9, I thought for a lot of people for who the Z9 makes a lot of sense, what are the reason that really jumps out for me? To me, these are the reasons that I would buy the Z9 for, I think. And for these reasons, anyone, I mean, it doesn't matter what camera system you're invested in, it could be in Canon, Fuji, Sony, Pentax, or even Leica, it doesn't matter. Z9 is the camera to go for, guys. See you.